Hello and welcome to this, the Crypto Club and Digital Assets weekly catch-up on Zoom. It is Sunday, the 27th of October 2024. The clocks have changed in the UK, which means everything is an hour later or an hour earlier, or exactly the same, depending upon where you are in the world. We hold these sessions every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. UK time, and we never quite know what the topic's going to be. Maybe blockchain, DeFi, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, ICOs, STOs, any other three-letter acronyms, really. Sometimes we talk about central bank digital currencies, regulation, lots of other things that are happening in this space. Do remember to subscribe to the channel, click on like, make comments. Even better, come along to a future session. They're open to everybody, novices and experts alike. We never actually know what topics we're going to be discussing, really depends upon who shows up. Sometimes we get elevator pitches from people where they get 3 minutes talking about their product and what it does, without the aid of PowerPoint slides or demos or anything. They actually just talk through what it is. So it's like a 3-minute elevator. Anyway, hopefully something for everybody. Do stick around. Hope you enjoy it. Let's see who's going to come and join us today. Hey, Gabriella.
Good evening, Gary.
And joined by, looks like Ken and a new entrance, a face I don't recognize. Is that Jay?
It is, Gary. Nice to see you in person, and thanks for having me today.
Hey, well, welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
We've got a mixture of people who are just joining us at the moment. We never quite know who's going to show up for these sessions, so it's totally open to everybody. But Ken, do you want to introduce yourself if you're back on now?
Just joining in to see what's happening this week on with regards to crypto, really.
Cool. Well, we'll find out between us. Never quite know. There's always news happening, that kind of thing. So, Jay, for info, Ken's in the UK, Gabriella is in Spain, I'm in the UK. I don't know, where are you based, Jay?
My kids and my family live in Bordeaux, and I'm near Bordeaux at the moment. But I'm pretty much in the airplane all the time, and mostly based out of London. So I go.
Oh, wow, okay.
Back and forth quite a bit.
And my geography's awful. Bordeaux is Norway, is that right?
No. So not Bordeaux. Bordeaux in France. You know
Bordeaux. Okay, my apologies.
Okay. The wine country, southwest.
Yeah.
And I'm actually sitting in my my parents' house at the moment in Bergerac, which is a little bit inland and very nice as well.
Very good. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
We always have an interesting mix. Sometimes we get people joining from the States, Central Europe, Middle East. It completely varies and that, so we never quite know. But Jay, what's your interest in this world? What brings you along?
Well, I sort of stumbled upon you and this event through an introduction to Jeremy, who thought that what I was doing was interesting, and he kindly suggested that I share that with everyone, and so I feel honored that he thought it was interesting. I'm sort of a tech entrepreneur and have been for a long time, and for a long time I've worked in the blockchain space and have always hated crypto. Now I know that's probably not the right thing to say here, but
I know
I've always found it a bit complicated, a bit. It shouldn't be this difficult. So, a year and a half ago now, with my business partner, we had a bit of time, so we started thinking how to try and improve, how that operates, and then basically we've spent quite a bit of time researching. That led to a couple of inventions, and we are now launching a company around these inventions called CHEQS, and then 2 inventions we made enable basically to guarantee that the person who's supposed to get the crypto transfer gets the money, and something around how to sign transactions and wallets. But basically, 2 inventions that enable us to create a product which feels like a bank, or feels like Revolut, or feels like a fintech. And so we're really looking at this from a perspective of how can we finally make crypto work for mainstream business, for the general public, for people who are not degens, for people not in the space, you don't know about seed phrases, you don't know about wallets, and you want something quite simple that feels like a bank account, really, but while staying non-custodial.
Okay, no, that sounds really interesting. It's funny you were saying about the kind of like tension between blockchain and crypto. I was actually exactly the same. I when I first came into the space, which was what around about 2014, 2015-ish, I had no interest in crypto, but I had a great deal of interest in the blockchain layer and the underlying technologies. And I
Yeah.
always considered crypto as being a bit of a distraction because everyone's talking about prices and all this kind of thing. And then within 2 years, you don't have any choice. You have to take an interest in crypto. So,
Right.
that's good. Yeah. And we've been joined by Ben as well. Hey, Ben.
Hi, Gary.
Hey, well, welcome aboard. We're just
Thank
doing
you.
some general intros at the moment because we've got some new faces, new names who've joined us. Do you want to say hi and who you are and where you're based?
Yeah, I'll just turn my camera on. That's it. Just had you on in the background. I was trying to fix something. Okay, the link. Hi, I'm Ben. I've been on a couple of times, but yeah, founder and of Vertex Technologies is like a trading platform for brokers and buy side traders.
Cool.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Excellent. Welcome back. Anyway,
Thanks.
So-
Thanks. So I've got you on in one ear, Gary. Yeah, I'll dip in and out if that's all right.
is that young baby I can hear in the background?
There is a young baby in the background, but I am working, so it's not all family.
But fair enough. It's the nature of life these days that we all multitask and we're all doing everything all over the place. And
Yeah, indeed.
you know, as Jay was saying, where he's spending sounds like half his life on an aeroplane. That seems to be the other thing. We sometimes get one of the people who sometimes joins us. I always say, "Where are you?" And he says, "London." What he actually means is he's in Terminal 5 in the departure lounge, waiting for his flight back to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
We got a real mix of things. So that's good. I don't know, anyone got any news or anything they want to share to begin with? I don't know, Jay. I noticed when we were chatting separately, you're talking about actually doing kind of like a pitch type thing. You're more welcome to do that at some point. We can either wait a little while for others to join, or if there's anything anyone else wants to cover off first, totally open. We're pretty relaxed around here as to how things roll. So I don't know. Anyone got any questions or anything they'd like to share before we go into things? Silence is always good. I don't know, Jay. Do you want to do a 3-minute pitch on what
Yeah,
you're
of course.
working on?
I'd love to. I sort of touched a little bit on it, in the intro, but we are sort of getting to a point where we're at the end of a sort of research phase. So I'd love, any ideas or input or any comments. So thanks very much for the opportunity. So yeah, so we are starting a company in the UK.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jay. I'll do one better. I'll even
Okay.
set my timer.
Oh,
'cause
wow.
there's no incentive like having a 3-minute timer on to squeeze things in. And 3 minutes is actually a very long time. It's
is.
quite surprising. But how about I set the timer and you go through a 3-minute elevator pitch of Jay. Tell us more about
Fantastic.
what you're working on.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Gary. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company called CHEQS. And CHEQS is reinventing the checkbook. And we are providing and preparing basically the checks on checkbooks for the blockchain. And we came to this through personal frustration with really how we weren't very able to use crypto and blockchain, stable coins and so on for our business. And we came to the realization that we needed to sort of improve what was currently there. And we did this by doing a lot of R&D, a lot of research. We've been in the space for 10 years, and we came up with 2 distinct inventions. One, which enables us to guarantee that the people who should get the money. And that invention is something that we've patented in the UK. And it's a very simple concept, and it replicates what the old paper checks or checkbooks were, back in the day when traditional banking used checks. What we do is, instead of me sending money to you or to anyone, I'm actually giving you the right to withdraw money from my account. And that simple step enables us to guarantee that only the person who's supposed to get the money actually gets the money. We've also invented some interesting things around how you create a wallet with a PIN code. And bringing these two together, we're actually able to offer a platform, which we're building now and finalizing now and launching very soon, that enables people to interact with crypto as they do with a traditional bank. So think of Revolut, think of, very, when I say traditional bank, I mean a modern fintech, but think of, companies like that. And we feel that that's something that's going to be very interesting for companies like ours. And we did indeed build this for ourselves at the beginning. And we are sort of looking at making this platform called CHEQS, something that's very easy for everyone to use. And I'm talking about people who are not in crypto today. Literally think of something as easy as PayPal in the early days. You come out, create an account, fund the account, and then you have a full suite of services, receipts, statements, user roles, banking integration, accounting integrations, everything you have from a nice modern Revolut, all using crypto. But we wanted to take it a little bit further than just that. And we take it a bit further with two additional items. The first is that I think I'm getting to the end of
We've
3
got
minutes.
10 seconds left.
I'll be very quick. So we focus on stablecoins because we feel that's really the future of professional payments. And we make this platform very safe by asking everyone to KYC so that everyone on the platform is actually in a safe space. And that's CHEQS launching very soon.
There you go. And that's the time up. You won't have heard my alarm go off because I just realized I had it on silent. It's not very clever. Normally I have my phone on silent whenever I'm on these calls because I don't want to be picking up things as we're chatting. But that was great. But that was a few seconds over 3 minutes. And we were joined during that time with Elena as well. So hi, Elena. We're just listening about CHEQS. So tell us a little bit more, Jay. How do you actually spell CHEQS, or do you have a website that we can find out more to begin with?
So actually, we do indeed. We've decided to take a modern twist because we've created a modern twist on the actual check and checkbook by spelling it CHEQS. So our website is cheqs.com, CHEQS.com. We do have a sort of waiting list website where we explain what we do and have people sign up for that. And we're really excited to start working with this very soon. We've done an MVP that people loved, and all the comments I got were really akin to, I can finally use crypto for my business, or I can finally go back to crypto, which is, really something I was excited to hear because I had the exact same problem. And so we are sort of finalizing a commercial product now. And that's going to be launching very soon. And the model will be very much akin to Revolut. So it's a small transaction fee subscription model, traditional fintech SaaS kind of business.
So hopefully I've pulled up the right website here.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Okay. And you've got a wait list already. It's a great start. I love the idea of trying to make things a bit more user-friendly as well. I agree. It's really frustrating still that crypto and blockchains have been around for easily over 10 years, and it's still quite difficult to interact. That's cool. I don't know. Anyone got any questions immediately then for Jay on that? Everyone's being polite and quiet. I was curious because Ken's into the Web3 space, so he'll be interested. Go for it, Ken.
Yeah, I think it's quite a very good idea, actually. I was just looking at the website to see the products you can offer, because there's not that many kind of products targeting SMEs in terms of crypto. That I haven't seen your app or your functioning product, but one of the main things that we lack is UI. And it's good to hear that you're mentioning things like that Revolut and those kind of fintechs, because one of the things they have is excellent UI. And hopefully when the product comes out, it'll have some good UI on it, because at the moment everything coming out on, well, not everything, but most things within the blockchain kind of realm doesn't have any good UI with it, really. I mean, even I don't know if even Tether, if you try to go and like because with Tether, once you open an account, if you want to take your USDT into dollars, you go into the account. But even there, I mean, theirs is not even shouldn't really be that difficult, but for some reason they've made it complicated. So yeah, this is one of those things really banking with blockchains.
Yeah.
I,
One of the things, sorry, if I can just jump in, one of the things that was really hard for us was I mean, I think we have a model with Revolut, because what Revolut does with crypto is really quite amazing in terms of UX. It's really simple. Just you can on ramp off ramp really easily. And quite a few other people at Coinbase do quite a good job with the UX. But what was really hard is to keep that level of UX but be non-custodial, because if you're custodial, you can do pretty much anything. It's very easy to do so. But if you want to be non-custodial, if you want to deal with, signing transactions directly on the blockchain, if you want to deal with completely not having control of the actual wallet of your client, it's really quite hard to do that and still have a flow that makes it easy and makes it simple and useful to use. So we've tried to strip away all the things which are inherent to the wallet or inherent to the blockchain, which honestly we feel doesn't really make sense. You make a transaction on the blockchain, you're waiting, looking at a spinner for what, 20 seconds, a minute, 10 minutes if you're unlucky, for the transaction to go through, which you don't do if you're sending money through a bank account. You're not waiting for the Swift transfer to go through. Look at the bank. You just do it and it's going to happen. And we wanted to take that kind of worry-free, it's going to work, and bring that to crypto. And I think that's what I'm quite excited about. So we'll see when it comes out, but that's what it's looking at, really, is trying to get UX of Revolut, UX of really, really nice fintechs, but making it simple like traditional banking without the headaches that they can provide.
Is your product on multi blockchains, or are you going to be using just one specific blockchain?
So we're going to be launching. So we're an EVM compatible tech. Technically, we're a protocol at this stage. So we're an EVM compatible protocol. We're a layer on top of the blockchain. We are looking to launch probably with Polygon, because it seems like the wisest, safest place to be. Very quickly, we'll be multi-chain, not providing a bridge because we don't need to provide a bridge, but deploying our protocol on multiple blockchains, and then we'll be looking at different languages, different chains, but at the beginning it will be EVM.
So I guess for me, the two things that I think I've seen a lot of projects miss out on. One of them you've already talked about, which is the user experience, the whole UI piece, absolutely on that. The other piece is around regulation.
Yeah.
That a lot of people in the crypto space seem to think regulation doesn't matter, but you're obviously UK based. You're presumably going to be marketing to UK organizations and that. Where do you sit regulatory wise?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what keeps me up at night, because I think that's really the crux of the game. Because I think we fixed the tech. I mean, the tech will improve, but we need to be really, really strong there. I'm looking at this from the perspective that we need to be as compliant as a bank, or as another fintech. So today, from a license perspective, we're non-custodial, so we don't actually need any licenses. We don't need to do anything from a compliance perspective, but we are asking all our clients to go through a full KYC, KYB if they're a business. We are doing monitoring for AML purposes, because I honestly, I think this is going to come. If it's not the case, every country has different laws. We're launching in the UK. Some countries are more ahead than others. We're launching in Asia as well. For example, in Singapore, we would need a license. In Hong Kong, we don't. But I know that this is coming, so we're taking this on. And for us, KYC and security is not I mean, we're making this as part of a feature, not a bug. It's really helping everyone have an experience that works. You can't have a platform that works for business if it's full of scams and, the shadows and complicated spaces. So we're taking a very proactive approach then, making it ensuring that everyone does go through a KYC and so on.
Okay. And what are you finding the level of interest in the product by businesses at the moment? Are people actually saying, yeah, this is something we can use, something we need?
So, I mean, this is where I'm really coming to you, hand in hand with, I'm not expert in any way. I'm presenting this and open to opinions and so on. But I find that there's a lot of niches for people in the crypto space where they're very interested because they can actually make this work with their accountant. They can make this work simply. I mean, literally today, it's not open to the public, but it will be probably next month. I can run through an Excel spreadsheet and batch 1,000 transactions on the blockchain with one signing non-custodially, which you can't do. Today, I can offer recurring payments on the blockchain with one transaction non-custodially, which again, many people can't do. So, excuse me. So I think that's really interesting for people in the space. And I think that's very interesting for a lot of people in some niche industries. We're talking to a lot of industries around charities. Very interested in getting money paid in crypto, but they have problem with the source of funds. Shipping. Shipping, I was astounded to find out that some people who want to pay using crypto can't do so safely, so they actually have to fly to the port, make sure the container comes in and do a face-to-face transaction, which is crazy. I mean, what's the point of the blockchain if that's the case? So I think there's going to be a lot of more niche industries. There's a lot, of course, of freelancers, digital nomads, people who use this for professional purposes. And then longer term, we're hoping to make this of interest to, I wouldn't say the general public, but a lot of companies who are playing, going in the cross-border space, where there's a lot of interest. Blockchain does offer speed, lower costs, offers a lot of things which are really interesting.
Yeah. Well, I find it fascinating because what I've seen up until now is you can kind of split businesses into two. There are those who are crypto savvy, and then there's the traditional space. So it's everybody else. Yeah. And the everybody else, whether that's your local coffee shop, whether it's Ford Motor Company, it doesn't matter the scale of it. They don't appear to have, apart from doing experiments to explore things, they don't have an appetite for crypto right now, because it just introduces a whole world of regulatory and accounting challenges. Yeah. Then you've got the crypto savvy organizations. These are the ones who are crypto by nature, so they're already connected in some way. And the thing I found with those is that they tend to be kind of like the early adopters anyway, who have got used to the fact that it's a complete pain to set things up and that they know how to navigate their way around MetaMask, Polygon, blah, blah, blah type thing. And so it's just interesting that what you are offering is something that's a little bit more friendly to use for those who have got used to it not being very friendly type thing. So it's an interesting space. The other area as well I find fascinating, particularly in the UK, when you're dealing with organizations and you start talking about crypto, is that they have real problems with actually processing payments into fiat in some way. Because as soon as the money hits their business bank accounts and the business bank account says, well, this has obviously come from Coinbase, Binance, wherever, they get their accounts frozen because the banks just do not like touching this stuff. And it's bizarre because the government at the moment is saying, oh, we're innovating, we're supporting startups and this kind of thing. And we're very supportive of innovations like crypto, but they don't appear to be telling the regulator that, because the regulator isn't so friendly. I don't know what your experience is today. Are you finding there are any companies who are saying, yeah, we're interested in actually adopting crypto more?
I think I mean, a lot of the companies who use crypto for business purposes at scale um, really like what we're doing because it does bring a lot of convenience. We were talking with a client just last Friday, a future client, who basically is running an advertising platform, marketplace, has to pay encrypted, I mean, has to pay a lot of transactions every day to a lot of people. It's impossible to do with MetaMask because it's just a lot of manual work, and he spends a fortune in exchanges, and he spends a fortune in terms of time, in terms of how often he does that. So we bring basically to that kind of client a lot of the convenience of the bank. Upload a spreadsheet or just connect to the API, and then you're just sending out 1,000, 10,000, a million transactions. So I think for them it's going to be easy because they're already in the space. But you're right, everyone else is still complicated. And we can't really fix that. I mean, we don't fix that. We don't do the off ramp. We don't do the exchange because that's a regulated activity. We are proposing or offering a system where we say, look, we're not going to be an app that does everything. What we do very well, we think, is payments. And we do it in a safe space because everyone's KYC'd. And we only allow our platform to touch stablecoins. So you can't get NFTs, you can't get DeFi. It's not a multi-purpose app. It does one thing well. And because it does one thing well, you can't get all the scams and all the things that are potentially where you lose money. But we are hoping that with development of CBDCs, a lot of interest in stablecoins. I mean, Revolut has launched a stablecoin, PayPal's launched a stablecoin. I think the market's going towards stablecoins, which of course takes out the exchange rate risk, and I think it makes it a really interesting tech. And I think what we've built is a solution that fixes the problem that you and I have, or the Bank of England has, which is how can you safely make a transaction to someone else on the blockchain? I mean, either you trust the other person and you're sure that's the other person, and then if you get it wrong, you call them and ask for the money back. But that obviously doesn't happen very often. So I think the invention's there. I think the market is changing, but it's still a complicated space. So we hope it's changing slowly.
I think the one interesting thing that you describe, which is a relatively novel feature, is the subscription basis. Yeah, where you're talking about like multiple payments. Trying to even organize subscription payments using fiat, whether you go through the traditional payment providers, can be quite a challenge. I've not seen it successfully done in crypto yet, where you can do things. It's like you say, charities are a great example. The way charities generate revenue is not from new donations. It's from people forgetting to cancel their annual direct debit of whatever. I'm sure I've probably paid for a few lifeboats over the years now because I registered with the RNLI, pay a few pounds a month, and then never get round to cancelling it. So it's a wonderful model for charities that it's a bit like gym membership, or a bit more affordable kind of. But it's something that I've not seen anything successfully deployed yet, which does that kind of thing in crypto.
Well, I mean, you can't do subscription in crypto non-custodially because you need to be there every month to press and validate a transaction. So what works today is you give the money to someone and they do it for you. That's custodial. And there's lots of people who do that well, but then again, that's a whole different world. That's the custodial world. So non-custodial, you can't do recurring payment today. There's a lot of payment types that you can't do because you're bound to a transaction type where you have to initiate a transaction, which is what everyone does today. So that's why this invention we have, which we call the check, is quite interesting, because by reversing the flow of the transaction, I'm not giving you money, I'm giving you the right to withdraw money. That construct is off-chain. So basically I can do that, and I can do that once, or I can do that with the right for you to withdraw every month. And that's how you get recurring payments. At launch, we'll have three types of payments. The recurring one, this, one time, we call them checks. So it's one-time check, recurring check. And a third one, which is the milestone check. And so that one has been built with the idea that we want to help facilitate business transactions around projects.
Mm-hmm.
So contractor, clients, freelancer, client together create a check system where the client funds a checkbook and that money is locked for the project. So the freelancer knows the money's there. And then from that checkbook, writes off checks to the freelancer according to milestones. Again, a new kind of transaction you can do offline, a check, and then implement it on chain. So that makes it a lot more interesting and gives you the versatility of Web 2, basically, to do payments in Web 3, which are guaranteed.
So that's a bit like a few years ago, there was quite an innovative blockchain-based platform in the charity sector in the UK. Is a team who set up Alice. So alice.si, if you remember the website. And if I remember correctly, it was called Alice simply because whenever anyone described blockchain transactions, it was always Alice paid Bob. And so I think they call it Alice. And they did it for a charity project whereby effectively you provided a donation that kind of went into escrow, but only got released when the benefit of that project was delivered. So
Yep.
as an example, you might donate £20 to a homeless charity, but they only got the funds once they proved that they provided a home for the night for a homeless person. So I guess it's kind of a variation on that, really, that it's a payment on delivery of services
Yep.
proven to be rendered kind of thing.
Exactly. I think that's exactly the kind of use case that we can cater to. I mean, so far, everyone who's done this kind of system has been a third party to a transaction. So it's been a custodial account. Escrow.com does, a great job at offering this kind of services where you can say, I'm going to fund this, and then based on these conditions, this happens. So you can build a whole logic around that. But at the end of the day, you're giving somebody, a third party, your money to actually do something with, based on instructions you give them. And we really wanted to build all these kinds of solutions in a non-custodial way. And so that's what we've done. We've built basically into the relationship, the two-party relationship, the way for them to manage the payment without having a third party, us, involved. And we've done that simply because, I mean, the custodial world is great and, filled by really big players. You have great banks, you have great fintechs, and honestly, going head to head with Revolut or MasterCard or Barclays, not happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the MetaMask and, people like that. But in between, in the non-custodial space, but with the sort of bank-like application, there's a gap. And that's what we're trying to exploit by always staying on the non-custodial side of things.
Can I just ask about the blockchain end of things with
Yep.
regards to the address, basically the blockchain address? Are you going to be using something just kind of? Are you going to issue a normal blockchain address to the person, or are you just going to issue something, I don't know, user friendly, and they won't be able to take advantage of sort of like capabilities of the blockchain and so forth? In other words, if I have an account, would I be able to search my own blockchain address, or would I just have, like in Revolut, you really can't do much of that because they basically just have your own account and they create a new account number, I think, address every time they issue out or move some crypto. So it's quite hard for you to do your own chain analysis.
Yep. No, that's a great question. So yes, indeed, we provide basically a traditional wallet that you control completely on the blockchain. So we don't allow people to bring their own wallets, and work with our space. And that's purely from a perspective of we don't want to be responsible on touching any past transactions, which may or may not be compliant. But what we basically do is say, okay, you come to our platform, we will create a new account for you, a new wallet. That wallet it's an EVM wallet, so it works, in a traditional way. You have the keys, and you can take that wallet and leave and do anything you want with it. However, that wallet, we give you the way to manipulate it, control it with a PIN code. That makes it very easy to sign transactions, because the second invention we made is that we use your keys plus a PIN code to generate a new set of keys. And these new set of keys enable you to sign. So instead of having to use all your words to sign a transaction, you can just put a PIN code as you would for a bank account. But basically, that wallet is a traditional EVM wallet. So it works on any chain, EVM chain, on any blockchain, and you can put anything you want in it. However, within our protocol, that wallet can only do certain things. First of all, it can't access our smart contracts on our protocol without the KYC. So we limit that to keep the whole ecosystem safe. You can issue a transaction from that wallet within our protocol, within the stablecoins we approve. You can't connect through our protocol to any other, DeFi systems. You can't buy NFTs. You can't do all the stuff that's probably going to lead you down to where you get scammed. So it's really narrow, but it does it really safely. And you can take that wallet and leave at any time. You can load it into MetaMask. You can do what you like with it. But within our platform, within our protocol, we can guarantee that everything that you do will be going to its end. So we can guarantee the transactions you make go to the right people. We offer a system where everyone's identified by a handle. So if I was sending money to Gary, I wouldn't be sending money to Gary. I'd write Gary a check and say, add Gary, here's a check for £500 or 500 USDT. You can come and withdraw that anytime. Gary puts his PIN code, 1234, or maybe a better PIN code than that, and then the money's in your account. And that's it.
So is it only a checks to checks transaction that you do then, effectively? So it's from a person with a checks wallet can only send the amount to another checks wallet.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly like PayPal in the early days, where you would come onto PayPal, create an account, and then you'd be able to exchange money with other PayPal accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Does the other person have a time limit? So you send them this check. Do they have a time limit, or can they just take a month to withdraw the cash? Or
so we send the check at launch. We're planning on checks to be valid for a month. And the checks can also be written so that they're cashable today or tomorrow. So I can actually effectively write a check for you, Gary, or you can cash in 30 years, and that's maybe interesting in the inheritance space, but I'll come back to that later. But I can basically say, from this date onwards, you can cash the check. I can't actually take the money back. You can, it's guaranteed that you will get it. At this stage, we're putting a month as the cashable period, but that's something we can easily change.
okay, so just to move on to funding a little bit, how have you guys been funded?
So I've been, and my associates have been through a few startups with a few exits before. So we've self-funded all the R&D product building part. We wanted to get to the first round of funding with, an actual strong proposition. So we've put quite a bit of money in. We've done the R&D, we've done the patents, we've done the security audits, we've done all the product side of things. And we'll start looking at fundraising probably towards the end of the year. And that's really going to be for growth, because, onboarding users, we pay for KYC. It's an expensive game, an upfront game for onboarding. So we're a UK company. We'll probably be, we most certainly be EAS approved. We're checking that now. So probably do a few EAS rounds, a first EAS round in the UK, and then raise money from overseas investors and VCs.
Okay, sounds good.
Sounds pretty comprehensive, and it's
Thank
nice
you.
to hear that you're addressing some of the problems I've seen over the years around simplifying things and making it accessible. The only thing that I still think trips people up, and I know you believe it doesn't necessarily come into your domain, is the whole regulatory space. Even as a non-custodial provider of a crypto service, that technically still means you need to register with the FCA on the crypto asset register, I believe.
So we have UK lawyers who've looked at everything we do, left, right, and center, and who've written us a very detailed sort of brief explaining that we do not at this stage within the realm of what we do. We do know that we do need similar licenses in some countries. So in any case, in the UK, it will come. In other countries, it will come. So for us, it's really going to be. I think we've invented something very nice, but it's an invention at the stage we're making it into a product. Once the product launches, I think there'll be a few, people interested in our approach, and then it's going to be a speed to market and how quickly can we extend to different countries and comply with local jurisdictions in each country. So it's really going to be a speed game.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a valid thing as well, because we are seeing across the globe a different pace of speed in its own right of global crypto regulation globally. So the Middle East is definitely taking the lead at the moment.
Yeah.
Hong Kong, that you mentioned, pretty good. Singapore, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pick up though something else that you mentioned. You said you might talk about, which was around inheritance. Because that's kind of interesting, because conceptually you could set this up almost like the equivalent of a trust.
Yep.
Whereby you can say, here's the check that you can't cash in. I mean, at the moment you're talking about a time delayed effect of you can or you can't cash it within a month or a year or whatever. Could you introduce an inheritance type capability in somewhere with that? Of not so much date bound, but you can't cash it in until a trigger to say that somebody has died or something that's happened.
Yep. So, I mean, I think that's a great comment and a great question, and I think we're just scratching the surface of what we can do with this new kind of transaction, which basically brings it's a hybrid between Web 2 and Web 3. In shipping, we've got exactly this kind of transaction which we're currently working on, which is I want to be able to make a guaranteed payment that's provable in advance, based on the conditioning happening, i.e. a shipping container arriving to port.
Yeah, and the letter of credit comes through. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So the shipping container arriving to port is an API call to the right, registry. And based on that, we can have all the trigger happening non-custodially without having to go through all the papers, letter of credit, the bank, and so on. And so that concept can be applied to inheritance, can be applied to a lot of different situations where you can have an external source that doesn't have to be on the blockchain, making or confirming a transaction. You graduated from Harvard, so yes, your inheritance is so much and not this much. I mean, you could imagine all kinds of things from a single simple third-party API. So I think there's interesting spaces there, but we're still exploring, and there's a lot of things we could be building.
I guess the shipping one's always interesting. I've had some involvement in that kind of stuff in the past, because supply chain is a natural blockchain domain in so many ways. And you take a look at what Maersk Shipping did with TradeLens, which did something very similar to what you were looking at, where they had like documentary letter of credits, and when you got like waybills or acceptance of arrival in the port, exactly as you say, that would trigger payments or that kind of thing. There's lots of interesting opportunities on that, and the UK was actually quite well placed for that. There was actually an act of parliament that was introduced within the last 12 months, the name of which escapes me, but it was kind of called a blockchain bill because it was basically permitting electronic evidence of an awful lot of this stuff. So I can't even remember what the name of it was now, but it was paving the way for a lot of this stuff because in some countries, and this is a bizarre thing, I think it's in Brazil, possibly, so certainly one of the South American countries, has reverted away from electronic systems back to you have to have paper documentation. So at the port, the ship operator or ship captain has to actually hand over a paper document to proof of ownership, and they get the customs. It's bizarre. Why they've done it, I don't know, but they've actually gone backwards just at the point at which everywhere else is going digital. So you look at the likes of EIDAS, which is the electronic digital signatures and all this kind of thing. Everywhere else is paving the way to enable this. So it sounds like you might be fitting in at quite a nice time with that.
Well, just to add on to your observation of sort of some of the shipping things going backwards rather than forward. At the moment, there's a strike going on with some dockers in the US, and I was watching a report on it, and the reason being is some of the previous agreements that were done with the unions means that certain elements that can be modernized, the agreement basically says that you can't modernize it. And apparently that they've got, this particular company's got 20,000 people where they've modernized elements of it already, so they're just trying to complete it. They've got 20,000 people who are still paid not to come to work because their job has been digitized, or basically they've modernized the port. And that's the element I think that could be happening in South American city. It could be just some people thinking, oh, well, modernization is going to take my job. And it could be that political situation, basically.
There's a lot of that in the States at the moment, definitely. They've been looking at what's going on with some of the Chinese ports, where they're creating entire new container ports, which are automated. And there's no workers on there. And I think some of the US ports are quite concerned about that because exactly as you say, they can see the jobs going. So that's kind of an interesting thing. But again, it's like I just want to quickly pull up. It was actually called the Electronic Trade Documents Act. So this was enacted in the last 12 months. Well worth looking at because that actually provides the ability to do electronic documentation as legally recognized. And that does pave the way to a lot of the stuff that we're talking about with that. But yeah, Ken, you're right that some people will be considering automation in that as potentially taking jobs away. That's why I find it fascinating that has been my career kind of thing around automation. And automation, the actual word comes from automaton, which is replacing man with machine. So that's what automation does, which for some jobs is not great. No. Elena, you're staying quiet today. Any thoughts or comments or anything you want to add?
If you don't mind, I'm staying a happy listener today.
Okay, no problem.
No, thanks. It's been very interesting. But the one thing that I'm kicking myself, I wasn't able to join the session earlier, but I'll watch the recording.
There you go. So there's a good shout out for everyone on watching this on YouTube afterwards. It is all recorded. Do click on the likes, unsubscribe. But as I always say, actually join the sessions because they're much more interesting that way. But thanks for that, Elena. Gabriella, I guess likewise, you're just listening and digesting at the moment.
Yeah, sure.
Gabriella is at times a person of few words. Always good. Jay, really interesting stuff.
Thank you.
It sounds really, really fascinating. And it's good to have you joining us on that.
Thank you very much. If I may, and if I'm not taking too much time, I'd love to add one point which is actually close to my heart because I was born in Madagascar, and I had a great childhood. My parents were expats, but I saw a wonderful country that was, in the throes of all kinds of economic problems. But for me, CHEQS has an interesting component to it, which we're probably not going to start with at the beginning because we can't physically and economically. but which we will do down the road, because we've built checks in such a way as that transaction costs can be scaled up and down. And we've got a tier of transactions, which is 0. And we are hoping that we can afford to offer checks as a service to a lot of countries in Africa and other regions around the world, for all the people who are bankless or unbanked. Because today there's 1.5 billion people in the world who are unbanked, which is crazy. Just because there's no access, there's no branches, there's no physical access to banks. So of course, people who have no access to internet, data, and so on will be difficult. But we can basically offer a full suite of bank-like services, bank-like account, and I think it's going to be interesting to work in that space. And I was actually demonstrating checks to the head of blockchain. Sorry. The head of blockchain for UNICEF. And he was all over it. He really thought this was quite interesting, because it can actually help a lot of people who actually need help and who don't have access to banking or payment capabilities. So I'm excited about that. It's something we'll be able to do, once we grow a little bit, but I'm hoping we can do that down the road. So that will be the social impact side of things.
I think that's another excellent one. It's something that always worries me, though, when people start talking about, oh, we're going to provide banking to the unbanked, simply because what I find is that what you need is to provide banking services to the unbanked. You don't necessarily want to provide banking to them. And the reason I say that is that most banking, certainly in the West, tends to be debt-based in some way. And the risk is that the banks and that see Africa, but first of all, far too often we talk about Africa as though it's a single country. It's funny, we had someone on the call, I think it was last week or the week before, from Cameroon, and he and I were laughing about how it is. Africa is actually many countries, many cultures, many currencies, and that kind of thing, which everyone lumps into this single autonomous type thing. But I think there is massive opportunity. Take a look at World Mobile Token, which I think they've been doing a lot of stuff. I think it was in Tanzania or Zanzibar. I think they were starting off with introducing banking and payments capabilities. And I do hear a lot about, like, Africa is a huge untapped market for payments, definitely. And I think it's great. Anything we can do to make payments accessible without making it banking accessible, I think it's got to be a good thing. Definitely. Yeah. So I'm definitely with you on that, Jay. I don't know, anyone have any other things? I'm quite happy. This is a fascinating topic. If anyone's got anything else to ask Jay or share or anything, or we can talk about anything else that's going on in the world at the moment, crypto-wise. This is always the thing. Everyone always goes quiet when I start asking people if they've got any other things. So, but yeah, Jay, how long has this been underway then? What's kind of the history behind it?
Well, it's hard to say. I work with a partner of mine who's the technical genius, and I'm the dumb marketing, business guy. But so and my CSO, my chief science officer, is even smarter, and he just joined the team. We've been in the blockchain space for 10 years now. So it's I can't pinpoint when we sort of invented this, but I think it's been a constant struggle. And I think in the last 2 years, we've really come out with a construct of, you don't have to put everything on chain. You can do things off chain that then can be validated on chain. And from there, you can go a bit further. So I think the actual patent writing is a year ago. But yeah, it's been something that's been brewing for quite a while, and then we've really tried to make it a product, which we've seen two interesting inventions that we feel can really change things. Make it cool. Yeah.
Good to hear as well that you've actually gone to the effort of actually filing patents.
Yes.
So something that some people sometimes just don't think about or don't consider. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, we've built this for us because we just found it so difficult to use crypto for our business. So from there we know it's sort of going to work. How well or big, will depend. And then we thought, hey, it could grow quite big. So the patent, that definitely makes sense. We've got something that would interest MetaMask very much. So we know that quite a few of the bigger players would be interested in this.
What's the?
Go ahead, Ken.
I was just going to ask, how long until you get sort of your product out? Because I was just looking at your wait list or your website, basically.
So the product, I mean, we're going to have very soon, probably a couple of weeks, an invite only, and I'd love to have you guys join if you're interested. Sort of beta testing. So the basically all the smart contract side and blockchain side of things has been ready for quite a long time. And we're really testing the front end, the security on that as well. So that will be accessible very soon, a couple of weeks. And then once, we get out all the kinks, and once we see that what we've built, because we've built using this tech, we've built 3 products, which are one-time check. I can send you a check for today or for next week, but it's one amount, a recurring check, and then this milestone check. Is that enough? Does that fit, within the business remit and within the different product market fits we're looking at? And then, that once that's launched and that's ready to go, we hope to be going live full market end of the year at the latest. So it's imminent. So
there we go. So a final shout out then. I'll throw it back in. I'll pull up the page again. CHEQS, CHEQS.com.
Thank you.
So that's really useful. So for everybody, there is an ability to register and join the waitlist on there, which Jay mentioned already. So wish you well with that, Jay. We don't do endorsements or recommendations, but I do suggest people do check out things like this and take pun not intended, and take a look and learn more for themselves. So Jay, thanks for joining us today. If nobody's got anything else to add, we're getting close to on the hour anyway. I always try and have a cut off on the hour as people tend to have other things to do. So we'll call this a day now, and I'll say thank you to everyone who's joined. Thanks, Jay. Ken, thanks for the questions. Elena and Gabriella, thanks for hanging in there and listening in. And for those who are watching this afterwards, what are you doing watching? Come and join a session instead. And if you've got something to pitch yourself, as Jay has, always welcome. So everybody, have a great evening. Hope you've all set your clocks correctly. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Cheers. Bye now.
Bye-bye.